What is going on, Culture Changers? Welcome back to the podcast.
Yep.
I'm excited to get back into it again after last week's podcast. It did really great. Thank you for interacting with that. If you did, liking that, subscribing, and all the views that we had gotten on that podcast, hopefully that this new format is something that people want to see more and that we can continue to grow this channel and this brand. So we actually have Dylan back with us this week.
First time experiencing the new type of pod instead of just doing the picks, So.
Yeah, and he's wearing the Baker jersey.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty exciting, especially after that performance he had this past Sunday against the Bengals. And, thinking about, the divisions around the league, we kind of came to a conclusion of who are the best divisions in football right now. And, we kind of brought it between the AFC North and the NFC West. So what do you think about that?
I think that both divisions are really good. I think any team really from either of those two divisions can put up points.
Absolutely.
I think the difference lies really in defense. Cleveland and Cincinnati aren't that great defensively, but Baltimore and Pittsburgh are elite defensively, where I think the Rams might be the only true elite defense.
Well, I do think that 49ers are pretty good defense. They're dealing with significant injuries in Bosa and Sherman. So, and they had a couple guys that just haven't been playing throughout, the season continuously. They did force, I think, at least 4 interceptions in the last game. So they might have even forced more turnovers against the Patriots. And they only held them to 6 points. So they are maybe trying to find their identity, but,
And I think each division has their own candidates for trophies at the end of the season, which we'll probably get into next week, at the midseason, just a little preview of that. But, Russ and Kyler have kind of looked like MVP, and even Roethlisberger could be a comeback player of the year, type of candidate, or, Miles defensive player of the year. But, we do think that these are probably the two best divisions in football.
Yeah, I think that they absolutely are. When you're taking a look at it, the AFC North right now would probably have 3 teams in the playoffs, where the NFC West would probably have 2. But now that's kind of a little bit of a credit to, the NFC being a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
But, sometimes, when that happens, there are more inferior opponents within that certain conference than there are within another.
Right.
So, it just so happens to be that, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh have all beaten teams that are already in the playoffs in the AFC. And, they still have, the NFC East really to play. So, we'll see how that continues to go. The next thing that we did want to touch on were players that were going to be traded. So, Dylan, do you want to go ahead and list some of the guys that CBS Sports listed on their website that could potentially be trade targets?
Yeah, so it's a pretty decent list. So, the guys, I'm going to run through them really quick, are AJ Green, Carlos Dunlap, Quinnen Williams, JJ Watt, Everson Griffin, Sam Darnold, Brandon Cooks, Evan Ingram, Ryan Kerrigan, Sheldon Rankins, Miles Jack, Stephon Gilmore, Desmond King, Justin Simmons, Harrison Smith, and obviously there's going to be other names, and we've already seen Yannick Ngakoue traded to the Baltimore Ravens.
I mean, it's just crazy to think that, there's this many big names that are on the trade market. Obviously, most 95% of these guys probably aren't getting dealt.
Yeah.
One, because, the team still believe in those players and being in their scheme. And 2, the asking price is probably going to be too high for, those specific players. But, we could see a couple of teams that are, in the hunt or, leading the charge, make a move and try and get an extra guy or 2 to kind of help secure an offense or their defense or just a weak spot on their team. I think some of the key names to watch really are potentially AJ Green and Carlos Dunlap, Quinnen Williams, Everson Griffin. It's known that he's available for trade. And then I saw that maybe even Ryan Kerrigan could get potentially shipped out. So the other guys I'm not too sure about. But I just think that it's interesting that so many guys could potentially be dealt this this upcoming week. But I do think it is still unlikely, because if it were to happen, I think some teams would have already made a move.
Yeah. I mean, there is still a little bit of time. The deadline is, I believe, November 3rd. So, these teams do have a little bit of time, to kind of, make a deal. I mean, some of these guys I think are kind of in trade talks because they're upcoming free agents. I think some of these guys are a little bit past their prime. And then I think some guys like Quinnen Williams, I mean, he's only 2 years into the league, so
it's second year.
It does seem kind of premature to give up, on them. And then even a guy like JJ Watt, who's the face of Houston, I honestly doubt that he gets traded. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, it could be boom or bust. Like there could be several trades that could happen. There could be really none. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, like I said earlier, I think it's pretty interesting to see so many guys potentially be trade targets. And like a guy like Brandon Cooks, he has been traded throughout, his history. He's like 3 or 4 times already. So that's another guy to, I think, keep an eye on. But, that would be a pretty big blow after losing DeAndre Hopkins to then lose Brandon Cooks for Houston.
Right.
Moving on, we have our picks of the week. So we did agree on all of our picks this week. So we're just going to run through them really quick. We have the Panthers, Ravens, Rams. Then we have the Chiefs, Packers winning, Colts, Browns, Titans. Then we have the Bills, Chargers, Seahawks, Saints, Eagles, and the Buccaneers winning. The last couple of games are the Sunday night and Monday night games. So, we just pretty much ran through them really quick. We decided that, those were who we think were going to be the winners this week. And it just so happened to be that they fell in line with each other, with each other's picks.
I mean, we're about halfway through the season, so at this point you kind of know what each team is. Who's pretty good, who is really good, and then who's average or who's below average. So, I mean, there's the saying any given Sunday, right? So, like, any of these teams, like, I know the Colts game, I forget who they were playing.
The Lions.
Yeah, the Lions. Like, I feel like that's a game that could go either way. Like, the Lions, they've been playing pretty good, but the Colts defense is also really good. So it's like that one could be like an any given Sunday type of game,
Right.
So
and then like the Steelers and Ravens, they play, but it's just Pittsburgh's going to Baltimore, so we just pretty much gave Baltimore the leg up because they playing in their house. But we picked Baltimore earlier against Kansas City in Baltimore, and they lost that game, so it could go the other way around. It's just up for debate. Obviously, we pick the Browns every week because we're not going to pick against them.
Right, yeah. I mean, seriously, come on.
And then, so recapping, the week, some of the things that have been, put out there. Like Dylan said earlier, Yannick Ngakoue did get traded to Baltimore after a short stint in Minnesota. He was having a pretty good season up there, but him and Donnell Hunter couldn't get on the field together because Donnell ended up being hurt.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham Jr. got hurt for the season. He tore his ACL, so he is going to miss the rest of the year. That's unfortunate. He's trying to run down a guy who intercepted the ball, and he tore his ACL in that form and fashion. Then the Dodgers are currently leading the World Series 3-2. I believe they play tonight, and it is Tuesday, October 27th. So maybe we'll see if the Dodgers will take that home. Clayton Kershaw will become a champion, and my boy Cody Bellinger. Sure, same name with me. Gotta rep him. And then Antonio Brown ended up signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 1-year deal. Now, Bruce Arians said that, this wasn't anything due to Tom Brady, trying to get him in or anything like that.
Yeah, okay.
But I definitely think that had something to do with it, especially with that short period of time that he was playing in New England. And he said that Bruce Arians said that if anything does come out with Antonio Brown's case that is currently going on in the courts, that they are going to release him, if it is in the negative. So, that will definitely be interesting to watch. We appreciate you guys for watching and listening to this podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us down below, what you guys think. Who is the best division in football right now? Is it the AFC North or the NFC West? Let us know.
Yeah. Who do you want your team to trade for? It could be some of these guys or guys that, we didn't even list. And, let us know if there's any other topics you guys want us to cover in the next one.
Yeah. So, again, look forward to the mid-season awards that we're going to be putting out. That is going to include Coach of the Year. It's going to include MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Defensive Rookie of the Year, and then probably Comeback Player of the Year. So those will all be interesting. We're not necessarily going to agree on them, so maybe we'll be able to talk that out a little bit, and then you could let us know next week who you guys think are the potential winners of each of those categories. So again, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next podcast.